Good morning and happy Mother's Day, Kitchissippi. It is Sunday, May the 11th. This is a video version of the 436th Kitchissippi Weekly Ward Newsletter. There's lots more information about all the topics that we'll discuss in the weekly email newsletter, to which you can subscribe at kitchissippiward.ca. I'm going to be hosting pop-up office hours on May the 17th from 9 until noon at the grand opening of the Westboro Farmers Market. Come on by the market for that first day. You'll find me somewhere near Byron and Golden under a tent. Pop-ups are an opportunity to come by without appointment and chat with me one-on-one about whatever is on your mind. The Committee of Adjustment is going to be meeting on May the 21st. Two items at that hearing. At 214 Cowley, the owners are seeking a number of variances for the conversion of a carport into a garage with a one-story addition above. And at 196 Clare, the owners are seeking to subdivide the property in order to build a semi-detached dwelling with a front-facing attached garage, a reduced corner side yard setback, and increased building height. Really important item in the newsletter this week with respect to 250 Lanark. That's the Graham Spry building, which since January 2024 has been used as temporary overnight shelter. We've seen with a change in the whole shelter system as they close down the community centers, bring some new shelter capacity online, that there's been a change in the demographics of the people who are using the building at 250 Lanark. They have more complex needs. Neighbors in the vicinity of 250 Lanark have seen an uptick in the number of needle finds, drug paraphernalia, litter. I've been working with staff on some mitigating measures to try to reduce the occurrence of some of those things. I have a long post in the newsletter, in the blog at kitchissippiward.ca describing those mitigating measures, and my staff and I are in the process of pulling together a virtual public meeting. So if you are in the vicinity and have concerns about 250 Lanark, do visit my blog post at kitchissippiward.ca to take a look at some of the security measures and protocols that are being put in place to mitigate some of the impacts of a change in demographics at the 250 Lanark Graham Spry building. We are adding lots more houses now, lots more households to the Kitchissippi Community Yard Sale map. If you want to participate in the June 7th Kitchissippi Community Yard Sale, send me an email at jeff.leeper@ottawa.ca and I'll add you to that map. You can see more information about the yard sale on the blog at kitchissippiward.ca. A couple of community events to talk about. The Churchill Alternative School of the Churchill Alternative School of Rock is celebrating its 20th anniversary. They're going to be celebrating at Fisher Park School, which is on Holland Avenue. That'll be in the auditorium on May the 23rd at 7 p.m. I understand some other channels have had some different dates on it, but that celebration, that 20th anniversary celebration, is going to be on May the 23rd at 7 p.m. for the Churchill Alternative School of Rock. There's going to be a street food showdown that's going to be held as part of the Westboro Village BIA Shop the Village event. That's going to be held on May the 31st from 2 until 4 p.m. So an opportunity to sample food from 10 of Westboro's restaurants. There will be two seatings, 2 p.m. and 3 p.m. You can purchase tickets through the link that I've got in the newsletter, and the judges as to what the best street food is will be you. So get your tickets for that following the link in the newsletter or by visiting the Westboro Village BIA. Also on May 31st, there's going to be a salsa workshop that's going to be held at the Churchill Senior Center. That's actually a fundraiser for the Dalhousie Food Cupboard, which is just to the east of us. It's going to be from 7 until 9 p.m. The price of admission is a pay what you can with a suggested contribution of $20. I've got a link to purchase tickets or admission to that salsa workshop with Salsa Steve in the newsletter. You don't need a partner, and there will be water, juice, and pop available for purchase. City Hall is very busy. This is about the busiest time of the term of council as we approach the back half of the term. The Built Heritage Committee is going to be meeting on May the 13th. There's a proposal to designate 172 O'Connor, several former Bell Telephone Exchange buildings, as well as buildings on Besserer, First Eccles, and 323, 327 Rideau Street. Two buildings in our ward are also up for designation with heritage protection, including the St. Francois d'Assise Church that is behind me, as well as the mosque on Northwestern. There's also an interesting report recommending removal of heritage protection from a number of structures in the city, including at Lemieux Island. I have all of the documents, the agenda for that meeting online through the link. I encourage people to take a look. City Council is going to meet on May 14th. I expect that will be a relatively short one. I don't see a lot of controversy here. The red light speed camera revenue issue that you've read about a lot in the media is going to be on our agenda. That got a really thorough hearing at the Audit Committee, and I don't imagine it's going to raise a lot more discussion, but certainly it may raise some. And then there is also a motion that is being brought by Councillors Hubley and Tierney to review restaurant patio fees. During the lockdowns, we provided restaurant owners with some significant relief on their patio fees. Those fees are now back up to what they were pre-lockdown. Councillors Tierney and Hubley are asking staff to go back and take a look at those before the 2026 budget. I imagine that motion will pass fairly easily. There is going to be a big meeting of the Emergency Preparedness and Protective Services Committee, along with the Public Works and Infrastructure Committee, that will be held the following day on May the 15th. It could be a pretty contentious agenda. There is a report with a number of recommendations that is available today. They're going to be amending various bylaws associated with special events. I've had a chance to scan those. I'm generally in agreement with most of what I'm seeing. A couple of things are going to remove some headaches off of councillors' plates. For example, they're going to propose to give staff delegated authority to permit road closures on weekdays. There's always a raft of motions that come forward. I'm bringing one this week for Vegans Who Snack to allow them to start setup, for example, on a Friday afternoon that would otherwise be impermissible. But there are food truck rallies are going to be made easier. Really important to me, they're proposing to take away the permit for protests so that protests don't require a permit anymore. Protests are a form of constitutionally protected speech. They absolutely don't require a permit, and I'm glad to see that change. But beyond the report recommendations that I think are relatively straightforward, there is also a memo on the agenda of that meeting that talks about the feasibility of creating bubble zone bylaw. A bubble zone bylaw would prevent intimidating and harassing protests in the vicinity of what we're calling vulnerable social infrastructure. So things like churches and mosques and synagogues, schools, long-term care facilities, which would define a category of nuisance protests. At least this is what they did in Vaughan, and make those illegal. This is highly fraught with a number of issues. Vaughan's has not yet been enforced or tested in the courts. Calgary's similar bylaw is in front of their provincial court. It will almost certainly make its way all the way to the Supreme Court. We won't understand the constitutionality of municipal bubble zone legislation for a couple of years. So there is probably going to be a significant discussion about whether or not to send staff away. Now that they've told us it's going to take months of work, they'll have to remove items from our work plan, from the bylaw review work plan, in order to accomplish and have them work on creating a bubble zone. I personally am going to be challenged to vote for a motion if something comes forward along those lines. I think that there are more appropriate levels of government, particularly the federal and the provincial, who have the constitutional expertise and the mandate to create this kind of legislation without the municipality weighing in. But I know there will be lots of media discussion about this, and I encourage you to tune in. On May the 20th, the Environment and Climate Change Committee is going to be meeting. A relatively low-key agenda focused on the water bylaw. There are recommendations to implement fees for things like missed appointments, a perimeter water meter requirement for private developments, a bill correction fee due to denial of access, and a leak assistance program. I don't expect that this will generate any huge controversy, but anytime we're introducing new fees, of course, there is often a lot of discussion. But immediately after the Environment and Climate Change Committee meets, they'll be meeting jointly with the the Agricultural and Rural Affairs Committee to take a look at the water rate review. This was extremely controversial when we did it, I want to say 5 years ago. They're proposing a number of changes to the water rates. They're looking at some new tiers. Really importantly to me, they're looking at using the permeability of surfaces on lots to help determine what storm water charges should be. And they're looking at taking ditch maintenance and putting that on the tax bill as opposed to being through your water rates. So that'll be an interesting discussion. You can find all of the documents on the agenda of the meeting, the link to which I've provided in the newsletter. The Planning and Housing Committee is going to meet on May 21st. I think it has an interesting agenda. There are some rezonings on Leggett and Fallowfield I don't expect are going to be particularly controversial. But there is also at Deschâtelet a report that will be coming forward in which the applicant is looking for a change in setbacks on what they call the Grande Allée. If you know the St. Paul University area, you know that there's a brand new housing development in there that's been done by Uniform. They're now proposing to build the housing that would flank what they call the Grande Allée, that big open green space, and they want to come in closer to it with respect to their setbacks. This is among one of the first applications, we've had a couple in our ward, that is proceeding under the minor rezoning process. So that gives staff the delegated authority to make a decision without seeking council approval. But the councillor in this case, Councillor Menard, has not concurred with the exercise of that delegated power. He's forcing it to a vote of the planning committee. So that's the first time we've seen this. It'll be interesting to see how this turns out. And in addition, I've asked the University of Ottawa's Student Union to give the Planning and Housing Committee a presentation on their Housing Caucus's report on student housing. I had the opportunity to attend the launch of that a few weeks ago. I think they've got some great data, some great insight into the challenges that are being faced by students as they seek housing in this very tight market. So I've asked them to make a presentation on that at our next Planning and Housing Committee. You can find all of the documents again on the meeting agenda, the link to which I've provided online. Kitchissippi, it is a very busy time at City Hall, and I'm enjoying it. I know we're in for some great weather over the next few weeks. The tulips are out, and I hope you have an opportunity to get down to Dow's Lake and enjoy those. Have a great week, and thank you for watching.